Hello everyone and welcome back to the Melek'le Yemek channel. Today we're making a traditional Turkish favorite, homemade sweet red pepper paste. Yes, we're making it right at home and I promise it's super easy. It barely takes any time or effort and just like that your winter stash of pepper paste will be ready. Let's get started. We've got 250 kilos of sweet red peppers today, my friends. These are specifically for making paste, and I didn't mix in any spicy ones this time. It's all sweet peppers. But if you'd like, you can mix in about 50 kilos of hot peppers and make it spicy, or go half and half. That part is totally up to you. As you can see, all of our peppers are in great condition. If there are any spoiled ones, we sort those out one by one. Don't throw in the bad ones or it'll ruin the whole paste. So first, we clean those out. Now I'm pouring buckets of water from the top into the bags to wash off any dirt, pesticides or chemicals that might be on the surface. If you have a big basin or a large tub or even a tap with a wide container underneath, that would make cleaning way easier. But since we don't have that set up, I'm doing it this way, using buckets of water. Once I've poured the water over them, I take the peppers out of the bags and spread them over a carpeted area. This helps drain off the excess water and it also makes it easier to spot any spoiled ones. I don't dump all the bags at once, I open two at a time, and once I'm done with those, I move on to the next. That way I can manage it more easily. And if you've got a little helper around, they can pick up the ones that roll away and give you a hand. Now I take a clean bucket of water, rinse one of the bags, and start cutting the peppers in half. I remove the seeds and clean out the inside thoroughly. Even though we try to clean them really well, a few seeds might sneak in, but don't worry, we'll remove those in the later stages. As you can see, the water in the basin gets dirty really quickly, so make sure to change your water frequently, okay? Once all the peppers are cleaned, I start filling them into bags, but I won't process them just yet. I'm going to let them sit in the bags for a few days. Meanwhile, I've also set aside some peppers for other uses, some for roasting, some for pickling with vinegar. I'll take those home in a separate basin. For the peppers going into paste, after cleaning and bagging them, I sprinkle a generous handful of salt on top of each batch, then I seal the bags tightly. Now, depending on the weather and how juicy the peppers are, I'll leave them to sit for about 3 or 4 days, sometimes even 5, it really depends. I close the bags very tightly, and if there's any spot at the bottom where the liquid can drain, even better. That makes the whole process much easier. I actually didn't use this spot before because I was worried it might break, but once I realized it was metal, I started using it and it worked perfectly. So now I place the bags there and only the yellow liquid drains out from the peppers. That's the bitter water we don't want. The rich red juice of the peppers stays inside, so we're not losing any of that beautiful color. I've also set aside some of the peppers for roasting, pickling with vinegar, and even for mixing with curd. I'll be preparing all of these for winter storage. Some will go into jars, and some I'll freeze and keep in the deep freezer. Now it's been 5 days, and as you can see, the giant bags of peppers have shrunk down to a quarter of their original size, friends. This makes it so much easier to carry them home and takes less effort overall. I mean, the waiting takes time, sure, but the hands-on work becomes lighter. Since this is a home-style method not done with industrial machines, we can't just get it done all at once. We had to wait for a few days. Once the peppers have fully drained, this is what they look like. They almost turn into a leathery texture, but the red juice is still completely intact. It's only the yellow bitter water that drains out. There's no foam or whitening either. Just look at the vibrant red color of the peppers I've ground. It shows everything is going well. I use this meat grinder for all the peppers. If you don't have a meat grinder or an içli köfte, stuffed meatball machine, you can still do this in smaller batches, around 50 kilos at a time, in a regular kitchen blender. But since I had 250 kilos, a grinder was definitely the way to go. Now, are we done? Not yet. because I want a pepper paste that's free of both skins and seeds. So I take all the ground peppers and put them into a large strainer with slightly wide holes, just enough so that the skins don't pass through. I press and press down on it, really squeezing everything out. The seeds that were left inside, even though I cleaned them thoroughly, are easy to spot because they're white. They all stay behind along with the skins. And because these leftovers are still so vibrant and red, we don't waste them either. I squeeze out as much of the paste as I can, and then I dry what's left to make red pepper flakes and powdered pepper. I'll show you how I do that too, inshallah. Now here's the finished pepper paste, completely skinless and seedless, and if there's no sun where you are, don't even worry about drying it. You can just fill up jars with it as it is, cover the top with oil to preserve it, and there you have it, your homemade pepper paste. You can absolutely use it at this stage. As for the skins I separated earlier, I collect those in a large bowl as well. I'll show you later how I make use of them too. After repeating these same steps for all 250 kilos of peppers, I brought the finished paste up to the rooftop to dry. At this stage, it's officially pepper paste, friends. I spread it out onto trays, which makes it easy to bring them back inside in the evenings. At first, I end up using lots of trays, but as the paste slowly dries day by day, I combine the contents of each one until eventually I'm down to just 3 or 4 trays total. Now I'm putting these trays out in the sun. This is day 1, and from this first day all the way to the last, I stir the pepper paste every single day without skipping. And these here, these are the skins from the 250 kilos of peppers, friends. There are also a few leftover seeds mixed in. I spread all these skins out on a big straw mat I have and let them dry in the sun too. If you've got the energy, you can squeeze them even more to extract more of that rich pepper flesh inside, but this is as much as I could manage. Sometimes when you're dealing with this much, your wrists and arms just can't take it anymore. I had to give up at some point. But even like this, I dry the skins right here. Just like the paste, these need to be stirred at least 2 to 3 times a day. Otherwise, whichever side is left facing up toward the sun for too long will darken and burn. We don't want that. So I make sure to stir both the paste and the skins thoroughly each day. When making sun-dried pepper paste or any other preserved food that requires drying, it's best to do it during the peak of summer when the sun is strongest. If it's cool outside, some foods either rot or take too long to dry, which isn't ideal, so don't miss the sun. Plan this for hot sunny days. Believe it or not, only 1 day has passed and my pepper paste has already thickened so much. Since all that yellow bitter water is gone, it thickens super fast. I love my paste thick because I want it to last a long time. I don't want to jar it while it's still watery. I make sure all the moisture is gone so only the true rich pepper paste remains. And of course, I never forget to stir, at least 3 times a day, every single day. That's why the color stayed so vibrant and beautiful. No part of it got sunburned or discolored. By the end of the first day, I start combining trays. As the paste reduces, I transfer smaller amounts into the bigger trays. This large tray here holds quite a bit, probably about 15 kilos of pepper paste. As the paste keeps shrinking day by day, I just keep combining and transferring it all into fewer trays. Another tip: don't forget to scrape down the paste that sticks to your spoon or spatula. If you leave it, it dries out and turns dark. As for the skins, you'll notice they stick a bit to the straw mat at first because they're still moist, but once they start drying, you can gently flip and scrape them off with a spatula for easier handling. At first I had about 2 to 3 trays just for the skins, but by the end I barely had enough to fill a single tray, and this is the beauty of it. With just 1 batch of peppers, you can make everything: pepper paste, roasted pepper preserves, dried flakes, whatever you like. Since I separate the skins during the process, I end up with not just paste but also sweet red pepper flakes and powdered red pepper. I even add a few hot peppers into the mix so I can make spicy versions too, hot flakes and hot powder. And just like that, we're done. All the paste has now reduced down into 3 trays total. I've reached the exact thickness and color I wanted. Time to take it all home and jar it up. I move the trays off the ground and place them on top of the tank to catch more sun. The flakes are also now beautifully dried, ready to take home as well. Sometimes they might look like they've lost their red color when drying, but don't worry. Once you grind them up, the beautiful red color comes right back. Now this is the consistency I like for my pepper paste. When I make it this thick, it means fewer jars to store and it keeps for a really long time. It becomes a really rich and concentrated paste. Just a small teaspoon is enough to flavor a whole dish. Actually, you don't even need to cook with it. Just spread it straight on bread and eat it like that. Or mix it with some spices and olive oil and you've got the perfect spread. Another option is to fry it with some oil in the morning for breakfast. It's something we love having during winter, sautéed pepper paste. I divided it up depending on how much I'll use, some in 1 kilogram jars, some in 3 kilograms, and even a few in 5 kilogram batches. So now all my pepper paste is ready, dear friends. I'll keep the ones in glass jars outside and I'll store the ones I put in 5 kilogram plastic containers in the freezer. I only used plastic because I didn't have enough glass jars. Since plastic can sometimes transfer harmful substances to food, I'm keeping the plastic ones frozen to prevent that. When I need some, I just slice off a chunk from the container, or when a glass jar runs out, I'll take out a 5 kilogram batch from the freezer and refill the glass jars. Before sealing them, I always wipe the edges clean, just like washing dishes. Then pour in enough oil to cover the surface of the paste. It can be either olive oil or regular oil, but of course we prefer olive oil. The oil prevents any air from getting in. Then I tightly close the lid, press it down well, and they're good to go. To those making it, using it, or just enjoying it, bon appétit. And good luck to anyone preparing it. You can also store the paste without oil by pressing it all the way to the top of the jar, sealing it tightly so no air gets in at all. That way it stays fresh without needing any oil. For example, this one, see? I didn't use oil. I packed it all the way up, completely sealing it off from air. And now for the dried pepper skins. I grind them down in the blender until they turn into a fine powder. This is my puree machine, not the chopping blade, it's the pureeing part. I filled the bowl up to the top and only a small handful was left outside, since it's all just skins. Now I'm going to sift all of this. If you have a sifter like this, or a fine mesh strainer, it makes things so much easier. I just sift it all until I've gone through every last bit of skin I've dried. What falls to the bottom becomes powdered pepper and what stays on top becomes chili flakes. I separate them into 2. Sometimes powdered pepper works better in certain dishes and sometimes chili flakes are the better choice. That's why I like keeping them both on hand. And my chili flakes turned out so beautifully, I managed to process more than half of it. Once I use that up, I'll grind the rest in the same way. Now, if the skins soften while they're sitting in storage, dear friends, I just lay them out under the sun to dry again until they get nice and crisp. Once they're crunchy again, I grind them. But if they've stayed dry, you can just go ahead and use them directly. No need to dry again. So that was my homemade chili flakes. After grinding, I store them in regular freezer bags. I don't refrigerate them at all, dear friends. Same with the pepper paste I showed earlier. Those aren't meant for the fridge either. I only put the paste in the freezer because of the plastic containers. I didn't want any harmful chemicals from the plastic to seep into the paste. But if you have large glass jars, you can store it directly in those. No freezing needed. Now my chili flakes are ready, and so is my powdered pepper. I pack these into freezer bags too. As you can see, there's absolutely no waste in this kitchen. We're working with zero waste. Chili flakes, powdered pepper, everything's ready. And I still have a whole bag of dried pepper skins left to make another batch once these run out. To help preserve them, keep them from getting damp or sticky, I sprinkle just about a teaspoon of salt over each bag. For any homemade spice you make at home, adding just a small pinch of salt will protect it. It helps keep moisture out, prevents clumping, and keeps bugs away. It's such a great way to preserve everything naturally. And that's it. It's all done. Now I'm storing these away in the pantry and sealing them tight. Thank you so much for watching, dear friends. If you've made it this far, thank you for your time, your attention, and your support. I really appreciate you all. See you in the next video with another full winter prep. Take care. Bye-bye.